guys. It's episode 102. We're going on strong. I'm your host, pHumblepodcast. Welcome to pHumblepodcast. I'm excited for the guests that I have for you guys today. I was lucky enough to meet him through John Ruby's class, Storytelling Conservatory. Free plug for you, John. And for all the fellow actors and actresses out there who are looking for coaching, may I recommend John Ruby. He's great at what he does. He pushes you in exactly perfect balanced way, where you're more motivated to excel, as opposed to the more old school method of, just harsh criticism, very little feedback. I've had those as well. But yeah, John is great. But for right now, John was the bridgeway between me and this new friend of mine now. I consider him a friend.
For sure.
Joshua Diggins. He's from Maryland, where I grew up, which most of you know if you've been following my podcast. By the way, hit the subscribe button. It'll help me a lot. I need all the followers I can get. And of course, follow pHumblepodcast. They're all on the screen here. Follow me on all these platforms. Instagram is the main one. And I have some tour dates coming up, which are also on my Instagram page and TikTok page. Cool. So let's get into it. Joshua, he has done 3 short films, 1 feature-length independent film that he shot in 12 days. He's been involved in plays at his church. Most recently, he did a community theater play last year in a 1-act festival in Frederick, Maryland. Oh man, I remember Frederick. And he's done several voiceover gigs ranging from Shakespeare's Midsummer Nights, Dream, to trailer voiceovers. Very cool. Let's talk about those. So, shot a film in 12 days. Let's start with that. Can you share more about this film?
Yeah, so the movie is called T, and it is directed by Jermaine T. Jackson. And it's literally, the title is just the letter T, period. It's the main character's name. Yeah, so the overall gist of the movie, summary, just a quick summary, is there's this father and son. Dad's a radical Pan-Africanist raising his son to target this quote-unquote white corporation. Come to find out, at some point you'll learn everything is not what it seems. But his overall mission is going after white people. But it's juxtaposed by a serial killer that's out there. It's a white guy named Tyler, who goes after black people, thinking that with every kill, it'll bring him closer to blackness. And he acts as a stereotypical 90s black guy, essentially, like New York hip hop, all this crazy, like just all the stereotypes. He acts as that.
Yeah. So
the character that I play, I'm the masked man. So I'm the dark thoughts, the hatred, the anger that in a physical form for the main character. So I'm with him all the time. Like whenever you see him, usually you'll see me. Now, there are parts where I'm not around, but usually how that goes, if he's there, I'm there too. Just kind of feeding into all that negativity.
Yeah.
And it was very different for me to play because I've never played a role where I had to just be angry all the time. And I would have to sink into a place and revisit some things that I just really did not like revisiting, but I knew it would help me out as far as bringing my character to life. So I would just go off in a bathroom or way off set just for a little bit, wherever we were shooting. If I had to walk to the other side of the alley or just sit in the car and just kind of focus and hone in. And then if I had my headphones, or if I didn't have my headphones, I would listen to Michael Giacchino's Batman score to further get me into that darker home, that darker place. And no, it was great, man. I enjoyed all 12 days of it. As soon as it was over, I was like, darn, that's it. No more.
Yeah.
I wanted more to go down, man. But it was great though. There were different Airbnbs. that we stayed in at least like 3 different Airbnbs. First 4 days we were in Charlotte County, Virginia. This huge mansion, just big land for miles, right? Pretty much nobody was around. I mean, your neighbor was probably at least 2 miles away, mainly. And we could hear them shooting. So like when we had some guns on set too that we had to use. So they heard us shoot. It's kind of like we would hear them shoot too. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
There was a big trail behind the house. Then after we were there, because we shot the final fight scene we shot there. Then after that, we moved into Richmond for the next 8 days.
Okay.
So we stayed in 2 different houses because we were in like different locations. And one house required was like used for one big overall scene, another one we used, and then we had some different studio setups for different apartment scenes. And it was great, man. I loved every last second of it. The crew, cast, everybody, top to bottom, was just phenomenal. And I was really nervous going in. I'm like, darn, this is my first movie. Good Lord. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
It's like, but then after you get comfortable with people, it's like, we're all here for the same thing. Let's make something great. Let's do it. And I love the fact that we were all in the same mindset. Like we understood the overall themes for the movie was hatred has no color. And that's what drew me in when I finished the script and I read everything. It was like, oh, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Camaraderie, man. Camaraderie helps. Yeah. Camaraderie is huge in projects like that. That's a killer premise, man. Where can people catch that? Or where is it?
It will be coming out next year. Once he has all once he finishes cutting the movie together and then cuts a trailer for it, I'll be able to know more details about where the premiere will be and what theaters it'll be playing in. I know he said it'll be a limited release, but then there's talk of like when it goes to streaming, where's it going to go?
Yeah.
We don't know just yet, but like I said, once he gets that trailer out, I'll definitely know a whole lot more.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man. Keep me posted. I will. I definitely want to share it as well as watch the film myself.
Absolutely, bro.
The film industry in that part of the country, in Maryland, the DMV area, it's been growing. I can tell that it's been growing because I left in 2003, so a lot has changed. Since 2003. I mean, I came back and visited a few times in 2012, and then I think 2017 I came back. But yeah, dude, like I grew up in Montgomery County, so it was nice. It was it's not what it used to be. I can tell you that. I tell you that much. And I can I genuinely this is something I'm hoping is that they care more about that part of Maryland because it was a sweet spot. There was a lot of kids my age growing up there that, we built the community through theater, through sports, through, just passion for the arts, and I don't know, I don't want to be negative, but I feel like it's been neglected a little bit, So, for example, my high school that I went to, Watkins Mill High School, it's like, it could use some more love. Let's just put it that way. But
I feel you, man.
Yeah. What part of Maryland did you grow up in?
I was in Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore, man.
Baltimore, yeah.
I went to for high school. I went to Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, and the thing that killed me was I love the school. I just hated how like there were certain things that we knew like with city funding we were not getting, and it's like. For us to be one of your top 3 schools, you think that we would get some more funding, and really we're not, man. Like it was some those summer classes, not summer classes, but like then when school first starts in August, it's hot. Like from August to September, it is just heat.
Yep.
And then once springtime comes back around, that heat picks back up. We barely had. There were not that many ACs in different classrooms. So windows were open. I have terrible allergies. And then when bees start flying in the classroom, everybody's freaking out. So it's like we stopped the whole lesson because we got to get rid of this wasp, this yellow jacket, whatever's just flying around the classroom. Someone's going to freak out about it. And
Oh
it's
my
not going to
God.
calm down at all. I mean, I remember one day staying after school for coach class. It was algebra 2. And our teacher, Miss Bartakilo, we were going through, I think, like parabolas and I hated parabolas, good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a bat got in the classroom. No idea where this bat came from. Just showed up in the classroom flying around. And I'm just like, this has to be a caricature or something.
That's
But
hilarious. Yeah.
no, it definitely was. I couldn't stop laughing about it. But the thing that I definitely wish that our high school did more was like, I like having the physical books, and even though in college I used the ebooks and we had the physical too, but I just prefer the physical book in general. I have it, I can hold it, I can look at it. We didn't really get our textbooks like that. I mean, it was only like we used them in class, outside of class, barely, like smart boards and all that, which was okay. But I just wish like there were more things that could have been done to at least help build a better experience. I'm not saying we have to be like lavish and have all the nooks and crannies, but can we get some more ACs or something? I mean, it got to points where I think when my sister was going to school, I think she said, did the school flood or something? I think the school flooded at one point.
Oh, man.
At one point, it got so hot because they didn't have AC that they couldn't be in class.
Wow.
So they had to do some things online. It's just a mess. I'm like, and that's why I reiterate the point. Like, if there's Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, there's Baltimore City College, and there's Western High School.
Mm-hmm.
And like, those are your top 3 schools in the city. And yet we're not being funded appropriately. It's like, I don't get it. Like, where's the money going,
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whole bag of worms that if we want to delve into, man, it's just, it's sad at the end of the day. It's just like, there are opportunities for a better, artistic future, and I'm only saying artistic because we're artists, but any field, you're passing up on that because of right now, because of a thought behavior or a thought, it's a lie. Like it's all a lie. And I was reading this book. It's called The 4 Agreements, and it talks about generations, like several, like tens and maybe hundreds of generations, we've raised ourselves on a lie. Like we've taken what has no bearing to it, no belief to it, no proof to it, and we just take it as fact. And we've raised many kids and future kids and grandkids and the list goes on, and it's all just based on something that was taught. It was not real, and it's like the exact opposite of humanity. And that's, I feel like, parts of the country and the world are feeling it, especially Baltimore. You got Detroit, you got Chicago, you got here in Oakland, you got like South Sacramento. You just see it. It's like, why? Like, we have the funding. We know we have the funding because, we just use it for shit that's not important.
Not feasible.
Yeah, and it's empty. It just feels empty, And yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel you, man. Like, and I love the fact that you said we're artists, because I've been thinking about that a lot more lately. Like, no, it's an art, and we do this. And I remember having a conversation with one of the docs at my job, and she was asking what I wanted to do. I said, well, now I'll be going back to school in the fall for athletic training, but at the time I was still going to do occupational therapy. But she was saying, like, I feel like some people are just like, why rehab? Like, why not want to be like a full doctor with all the research and everything? I feel like it's like, just being lazy. And she was just going back and forth with me. This is what she does. She's great.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, because I know also where my passion is in being an artist, it's like I can't not only satisfy the part of my brain that loves the academia, I got to satisfy that creativity part. I have to exercise that.
Right.
because like that part, it really helps keep me sane. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And so like going through this journey of, and I'm sure you've noticed changes in yourself too, like with acting and stand up. It really, like, once you hone in on your craft, it's like you start to see yourself a little differently.
Yeah.
Like you're really growing as a person, and you're knowing like, man, there's certain things that you know you can do, that you want to implement, and it creates this hunger in you that you just want to do more and tell all these kinds of stories or portray these kinds of characters that can at least leave a lasting impact on someone. Like you never know what you do, how it may affect or impact somebody else. And that's the thing that I take away from it. It's like, and that's why I picked the movie. I'm like, I have to do this because in the world of today, it seems like people want to make it seem as though there's only one group of people that hates on the whole world. And then these groups of people should go against this group. It's just so much division. It's like, that's not it. Hatred has no color. Hatred has no face. It's just hate is hate is hate is hate.
That's what
just
I'm
like
saying.
Evil is evil is evil is evil. That's it. There's nothing else to it. You know?
I always say, man, the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. And that's where it comes from. You know what I mean? It comes from that. It comes from fear of the unknown, you know, and till a certain point in human evolution, I can understand it. I don't know if I can accept it, but I can understand it. As far as like tribalism, right? When humanity was actually, wow, speaking of bugs, bro. Literally like flew into the Zoom call. I love this. But
gotta protect yourself, man.
I'm gonna hate that thing, and that's not fear. I just hate it. No, but
it's called invasion of your property.
That's right. Yeah, you in my house. But yeah, like it was like tribalism, you know, it was a thing where, you know, we didn't know, like it was literally taught like the neighboring tribe you can get along with, but the one after that, like don't fuck with them, right? But it came from not knowing, right? Because they were just far enough for you to not understand what their life is about. But now fast forward thousands and thousands of years, right? And it's like that mentality, you know, is still taught. It's like we're getting in front of our own evolution, right? So it's like, now I can tell you this, some of the hate is fake, meaning there's money to be made from it, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
You get what I mean? Division is a business model. Division, it makes some of those higher ups, they profit off of that. So of course they're not going to want to stop it. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like when you get too much money, you get very little in your mind. You stop thinking. You stop using your soul. You can. I'm not saying you will. You can do that. I can't speak for every one, like billionaire out there that they think this way. I'm just saying everything forces you to step on others, right? Everything forces you to go to that dog eat dog mentality. But I do feel like it's changing. I do feel like just based on the fact that people are starting to use the internet to unite more than to fight, it's still there. I'm not saying it's not there. It's online, you know, but
that's the worst place to find it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But because it's a perfect tool to beat this system, because all we have to do is just say, listen, I can talk to someone in Maryland. I can talk to, forget America. I can talk to someone in Japan right now, and we can have things in common that we would have otherwise never even known about each other if the internet wasn't there. You know what I mean? And
absolutely. And
it's, what's sad is the closer we are in proximity, the more reason we have to say we're different from each other. It's like something takes over. I mean, just let's look at sports. Simple example. We'll use Maryland for example. Ravens fans don't like Washington fans. Washington fans don't like Ravens fans, right? It's like, or take it here. Oakland, well, they used to be Oakland Raiders. Raiders, Niners. Nah, man, Raider gang, Niner gang. You can't like both. You know what I mean? But to me, I never really understood that. Like, I love the Ravens. I also like Washington. They both represent, like, a lot of Marylanders love both of them. Yes, Baltimore Ravens is literally in Maryland, and Washington, whatever the hell their name is now, Commanders. You know,
Commanders.
yeah. I'm so glad that owner's gone though. I just read yesterday that he sold the team finally. Dan Schneider. That guy was
Oh
toxic.
yeah, he had to go.
Talk about toxicity at the highest level.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I'm going all over the place. The point is that division is profitable, right? So but I'm hopeful and optimistic that we're changing that. But what are your thoughts on it?
No, absolutely, man. See, like I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and I was telling her like how terrible and messed up things are, and she's like, "Well, do you feel like you have any hope for people?" I said, "I do. Hope is really what is keeping me from being like just completely giving up on humanity." I mean, like I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling him, I said, it's funny how when we were kids, the world is definitely sheltered away from us. And then you get older and you start to see how messed up and fickle humanity could be. But you meet people along the way in your own personal journeys that do give you hope. It's like feel like God puts people on your path the people that you're supposed to meet are the people that you're supposed to meet that help you better yourself at all times, and want to be better, no matter if they cause a detriment of negativity to you or just give you that boost of positivity. Either way, it's supposed to sharpen you to make you better, to at least want to enhance yourself. And then the better that you become, the more you can help influence people to want to be better themselves. I think a lot more people are starting to realize what's actually taking place and what's going on. That gives me more hope too.
Yeah.
There was I don't know, are you familiar with the Boondocks?
I'm not. I've heard of it.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it though.
All right, so the Boondocks was a show made by Aaron McGruber, who is actually a resident of, I don't know where he lives now. But he's from PG County here in Maryland.
Okay.
And he made this show pretty much about he was in the show, he used anime style, but also was telling these hilarious, absurd stories of what it's like growing up as a black man or a black kid in society, right? And how different people try to tell you how to think and then tell you that you should think a certain way or how you should feel about something. That's like, it's not really like that. I mean, I think how I'm gonna think because I am who I am. Like my skin doesn't define the way that I think. That's just me. Yeah. So there's an episode in there where when we're talking about division here, and it's called the N-word. So Riley gets in trouble at school. He's the youngest grandson. He gets in trouble at school for using the N-word. And so his teacher is going on a live interview, just like saying everything that he was saying, word for word, like literally just saying everything that he was saying. It got down to the point where he was like, "Can an N borrow a French fry?" Like, so wow. He's like, "And are you going to give it back or not?" So the granddad's like, "Oh, we have an opportunity here to make some money off of this because we're going to, let's get what we got to get."
Yeah.
So in comes this Reverend Rollo Goodlove, who was pretty much supposed to be a representative of Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, those opportunists that only want to come in when it's a racial situation involved, but you never see them anywhere else. Right. So Rollo Goodlove, he steps in and he's like, "All right, no problem. We can make some bank off of this." So they start getting a TV show and they get all this talk show. They're starting to do these tours talking about how they felt and all. And Huey, the oldest grandson, he's like, "This is ridiculous. Like, I just feel like," Huey's kind of like the one where his mindset is just different than everybody else's, where it's like, I'm gonna think for myself. I'm not really gonna be a part of this hive mind mentality that people think that I'm supposed to have. It's not it. So it comes to a point later on in the episode where there's this white lady that pops on, and I forget her character's name, but her and Rollo are having this back and forth all the time. Like you see them on different news sources all the time. Then as the episode progresses, you see them actually meet each other. And after you see those heated debates of things that's taking place, when they see each other in this backstage room, they're smiling, laughing, loving and hugging on each other like it was nothing. And Granddad is just sitting over there like, "This is weird." Like, but y'all were just going back. And they said exactly what you said. Oh, well, you know how division works. It's money. It's money to be made. So we just stir things up and we get our money off of it and we leave. I don't actually feel this way. I just do this because it gives me the money. And it's like, wow, really? Is that really what we've come to as a people? We have to use this?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It comes from greed, right? It comes from, it's like, and this is a topic we can talk for hours about because it's so in depth, right? It's like the more you dig in, the more you see how much it stinks, because it's like, damn, man. But what it boils down to is this: is we use fear to cause division, and by causing division, we sell products, and by selling products, only a small group of people are actually gaining anything from it. And it's not a humane fuel that you're gaining. It's actually a material thing that stays here when you're gone. I look at it this way: we're born without money, and when we're buried, there's no money that goes with us anywhere, right? So buried or cremated, however you go, the money stays here. What I thought about, though, is this: what will really be a big change in society, but just see what happens with these with the higher ups. Everyone dies with their money. Like whatever money you made, it gets buried with you, right? Or it gets burned with you. Just see what happens. Like I promise you, the people in the top 1% would lose their shit. You know what I mean? Like they'd be like, you know what I mean? But like, what if, like, humankind is a genius species. It's just fear has been what has kept us ignorant for so many years, right? But that's what's changing, because just this conversation alone I feel like was not had as a common conversation like 50 years ago. Hell, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, to me, it's uplifting because we all are feeling it, right? Like we all feel this, and it's what keeps us connected, because like you said, the word hope, because no one is happy really in the situation that we're in this system of a down, right? To reference one of my favorite bands. You know what I mean?
You did that rock band.
Yeah, right. Dude, I love System. Yeah. But it's exactly that, man. It's like we're sitting here just kind of surviving, but we don't have to survive. We can actually live if we just use social media, use the internet, and use it for the greater good. And guess what? We are doing that. And this is a great way, and it's a great way for me to real quickly segue into, not just in the United States, the segregation and the division that they create. It's more so, it's a worldwide thing. The fear-based systems that have been running governments throughout the world, it's not just reserved for the US, man. It's happening all over, including my motherland, right? And whoever's watched Podcast knows it's no secret. I've dedicated a lot of my episodes to amplifying the voice of the people in Iran right now, because we're in the middle of month 6 of a constant revolution that's an uprising by the people, because for 44 years, this terroristic dictatorship regime, the Islamic Republic, which uses the name of Islam to control people. And it's not Islam. It's not even religion. It's a straight up terrorist organization. They used fear to control, and they got away with it for about 44 years. But the new generation, they're like, you messed up when you let us get educated. And now we're getting educated. And now we have, and you know where you really messed up is you let cell phones in the country. Now that you've let smartphones in the country, we can start to research all of the rhetoric that you've passed on to us. Oh, okay. Well, that's a lie. Oh, that's also a lie. Wait a minute. This whole system is a lie. And now it's like, well, there goes the fear, because now we have information. So the point is, information defeats fear. And what we have to do is continue to stay informed. And that's what I do. That's what I try to do, because I'm in considering all the problems that we do have in the United States, I still have to admit I'm living a privileged life right now, because I would be probably hung in my home country right now. You know what I mean?
And you're speaking facts too. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I was just telling somebody, I was at the barbershop earlier, and I was just telling somebody, I said, I feel like we complain here a lot for no reason. Like, okay, we have our dark days, and we've had a lot of them, and we've had a lot of great days too.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people around the world, there are instances around the world where people are just suffering much more than we could ever imagine. Like, I was looking up some statistics the other day, specifically with guns and murder, because everybody's like on this kick of, well, not everybody, but there's a decent amount of people that are like anti-gun.
Yeah.
And which I think is crazy, because there are people, high blood pressure kills more people every year than violence ever has. Like since we want to use the term gun violence for these no thing, kills more than that. Then in 2020, there were 25,000 cases of suicide involving a handgun. 19,000 involved homicide. 10.9 million high blood pressure, followed up by smoking. And there was a whole list of other things before you even get to guns. And I was like, which is crazy. So stop spreading and spewing that rhetoric just because you can. It's a whole other thing. In Colombia and Venezuela, countries in South America, there's actually a lot more violence that takes place because citizens don't have guns. It's the government and cartels really working hand in hand.
Yep.
And the people they can't do anything because they don't have the power.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the Second Amendment was to keep something like that from even happening in the first place. And it's like, well, and I just sit back and I hear people and I'm listening. And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm the only one in history class that was paying attention. You know what I mean?
Well, when we don't pay attention, we repeat it, right?
Yes.
So that's part of the issue. But yeah, you're right. Venezuela, Colombia, and then you have Afghanistan in the Middle East and Iran. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Which, by the way, the Islamic Republic government, with their leader Khamenei and the leader in Venezuela, they're in bed together. They're
wow.
Yeah, they pass back and forth dictatorship information. So a lot of their system is very similar, the way they run it. Yeah. Damn. And so now again, the revolution in Iran is getting very little coverage on Western media, right?
That's sad.
By design. It's again by design, because when you peel the curtain back, I told you the stink keeps rising. It's like it gets worse and worse the more you peel back. But it's okay because it's information. We're exposing the truth. I'm certain the people within Iran are going to free that country without any other country's help. They can do it. They will do it. They've done it so far. 6 months straight. That government is on their knees right now. They're poisoning children, girls in school, because this was a woman who started this revolution, and then the Gen Z population, especially the girls, they're like, they're taking off their hijab, and then they're saying, and it's not even about the hijab alone. It's about freedom, woman life freedom. That's what's been fueling this whole revolution. Woman life freedom. And then man, homeland, prosperity is the tag at the end of it. But it's about women fighting back. And so now the government has put harder mandates on hijabs. They've put cameras all over the cities to see who's not wearing it. It's literally turning into Germany in the 40s. You know what I mean? It's like
that book, 1984.
Yeah. It's but to what you said, the government has the weapons. All the people have is their intelligence, but that's all they need. That's really all they need, because the biggest the biggest weapon is on the side of the people because they have information. They have the smartphones. And that government, they're all 900 years old. They don't even know how to use the computer. You know what I mean? So like but it's great because they'll hire interns and they'll hire like smarter people to control the internet. But these people have VPNs. They get around all of that, right? They try to shut down all the video footage that was leaking out from the police, the IRGC, which are it's the military underneath this government that's going in the streets and shooting people, right? People were shooting footages of this. And so with every innocent life that they took, millions and millions of people outside of Iran are seeing it. You know what I mean? And that is the biggest weapon because it's in our hands. We, the people, have the power. Social media. That's why I don't pay attention to the mainstream media because that shit is owned anyway by the people that sprinkle in what they want you to see and what they don't want you to see. We have to, and we're not that we have to, we're deviating away from that. It's like the younger generations, right? Millennials down, I say. We're starting to just get away from it. Like, okay, I'm not going to give my energy to that. My energy is going to go to where I can control it and I can see what I want to see. Okay, I want to see what's really happening in Ukraine. I really want to see what's happening in Iran, right? Oh shit, in Russia, the people in Russia are actually against this war too? Okay, cool. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's easy to think, okay, well, Russia must be like this. No. Do research. Don't guess. Don't assume. Don't just take it because it's easy. You can do the right thing or you can do the easy thing. And the easy thing is 99% of the time it's late. It comes from laziness because we all have it. We all have that tendency to not want to take that extra step to find the truth. But the truth comes out when we fight for it. We have to fight for it. And that's the only way. But we're fighting the good fight now because we're using the internet and it's only going to become more and more prevalent as time goes on. And we're going to see that, wow, we really do have the power because at the end of the day, the governments fear us, not the other way around. Because there's way more of us than there is of them. So,
and if control falls out of their hands, then like that's what they rely on. They rely on that control.
That's right.
And I would like read when I was really staying in tune with the Ukraine crisis. I always loved seeing articles where they were talking about how Ukraine is not giving way at all. I mean, really just punching these guys in the mouth constantly. And even though I'm like, we really don't need to be involved because they are doing it. Like we've given them what they need, but it's like to a point, all right, because we still have some things on the homeland we got to take care of here too.
Yep.
But they are definitely holding their own against them. And it's amazing to see like this. Russia Putin's like, well, I want to claim them as a country.
Yeah.
It's like they used to be with us. But they don't want that.
Right.
They want to be their own independent nation. So you're going to try to invade. Okay, you invade us. We're going to show you exactly what David and Goliath was like. And they are showing it right now on the world stage. They are reliving the story of David and Goliath, and I love to see it, man. Seriously.
Yeah, man. But and this podcast is all about love and humanity, and I seldom get into the politics of it, and that's okay that we did. It needs to be talked about because it's a human rights issue. It's never been about these greedy motherfuckers up top that are, just trying to use people as like ventriloquists. It's not. Yeah. It's not that. You know what I mean? It's about people realizing how powerful we are. But to button up this topic, Putin has the power that it has because the Islamic Republic is in power. A lot of people don't think about this, but if you peel it back enough, you'll see Khamenei is sending drones for Russia to use to shoot innocent Ukrainians and take over Ukraine. So Putin doesn't want this revolution to end the Islamic Republic. And I dare say certain governments that are closer to home also don't want this revolution to end in the people's favor, because again, where is this military getting their weapons from, right? You got to start thinking about all of that, and then you start to realize, just ask questions, man. As soon as you start asking questions, you'll see who's actually shivering to answer your question versus who is actually like, yeah, dude, you're right. Let's look into, because you'll see who's been holding secrets and who's really trying to find what real human rights is about, because freedom isn't reserved for borders. It's reserved for the world. It shouldn't be like, oh, if you live here, you can have freedom, but if you live there, you're on your own. Why? That's dumb. Who came up with that? Like, they're human too, right?
Right.
Why are they below us? I don't get it. Why is that? Like, if I get the privilege of being able to walk out and say I'm this religion and I'm okay, how come they can't do it? You know what I mean?
Hey, Jude, man, that's gospel.
And I'm not even a religious person, and I'm telling you that. I'm saying we're human beings, right? We all are human beings before we decided to go with whatever religion we decided to go with, if we did at all. It's like, at the end of the day, we're all born innocent. We're all born pure. I believe that. I don't care. You can argue with me about that till you're blue in the face. Because I'm not just saying you. I've heard people say, no, man, I think there's an evil gene in people. Maybe. Maybe, but it's got to be brought out of you. You know what I mean? It's got to be brought out of you. You look at serial killers, you look at terrorists, and then you look back. What was their childhood like? Right? And then you start to see, like, oh, wow, okay, so this dude was thought from like the age of 3 that he's going to take over the world and he's going to be world power dominant. And he wasn't allowed to have the same experience as a regular Joe. You know what I mean? So there is a beginning to all of this. There's always a reason why things go south the way they do. And it's not by accident, is what I'm saying. It's all very carefully orchestrated. But all of that is becoming exposed. The longer this revolution the longer it takes, and I know we're not even talking about film, which is the whole point of this episode, but it's sorry, we're here now, but I feel like you share this passion with me, so that's why I'm talking about it. The longer this revolution takes, the more government officials outside of Iran in the free countries are being exposed, because they're going to start to be exposed with the Islamic Republic terrorist regime, because you start to see who's feeding this beast. You start to see who's actually in bed with them. Robert Mueller, right? Mueller. He was one that is exposed. His son is working with an organization within the United States that's a lobbying group for the Islamic Republic. His son is working for them. That's been exposed as a result of him not pushing the agenda to designate the Islamic Republic and the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Now you're like, why is he not doing that? What's he have to get out of, seeing innocent people getting killed? You do research, you find information. Oh shit, his son works for NIAC. Well, duh. Now it makes sense. You see what I mean? So then it's like, you ask the questions, you get the answers, but
you can follow the trail.
Exactly. And it's no longer fear. That's the whole point of this episode now. And I'm okay with it. It's because fear gets in the way of everything, even your art. You can't express your art if you're fearful. You can't express it the way you want to express it. If you're like, I don't want to upset that person, I don't want to upset. It's not about them. You're doing it because you feel it inside. Go with that gut feeling. And I promise you, it gets you to where you want to get to. But fear's got to be out the window. I'm not even saying fear is unnecessary. In certain things, fear can help you make a better decision. But irrational fear is what I'm talking about. Don't have irrational fear. Don't have fear just because you didn't ask questions.
Right.
It's easy to be afraid because it's safe. I'm just going to sit here and be depressed, but I'm safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like if you really want something, Yeah, take that leap of faith to go get it. You know, like if you don't, then how do you get to where you want to go? I can't just say, man, I feel like going to heck, I feel like going to Montana today.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I don't do what I don't do what I have to do to get there, then I'm not gonna be able to do it. So I have to work hard at it. I have to budget accordingly. I have to make sure that my focus is unwavering so that I can get to my destination. Same thing with acting.
Yep.
Play last year that we did. It was called Two Drink Minimum. And really it was me and Cyprina on stage the whole time. Our director, she actually did the voice of another character off stage. So Prina, she was saying before, when we did the practice run through, I felt comfortable with everything, and I made sure she was good and everything. I always try to make sure my scene partners are good if they're okay. Like just make sure that they're all right. And she was, but she got a little nervous because she felt like we didn't have enough time to practice. And I can admit we did not have a lot of time. We had because we were looking for another person for a while. So really, I think we got maybe about 3 weeks of work in until we had to, go perform. And she was nervous about it. I was nervous myself because I hadn't done community theater, but because I'm a mime at my church. I've done plays at church. I've done plays at school. Doing the films now, it's like, okay, I still get that nervous bit, but I know how to use it.
Yeah.
And she was getting a little restless. I just had to tell her, look, we're gonna be fine. We worked hard at this. We are going to be okay. When we did it, we ran the whole thing through. We were good.
Yep.
And I think like once you learn to really master your fear, because to quote Robert Pattinson in The Batman, which is going to come up quite often, fear is a tool. It can be a tool if you use it correctly. As far as like, because I remember there was an audition I had, right, for this other short film. And I got the part, but before I even did my actual audition, my actual take, there was another guy who walked in who was auditioning for the same part that I was. So, I was already, it was only a few lines. I'd already felt comfortable, but it didn't change the fact that I was still nervous. I mean, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
So he said, hey, man, how you doing? I said, I'm good, man. He's like, well, this the part? He said, yeah. I said, oh, it seems pretty easy. And I was just in my head like, so you say, so that right there is pride before the fall, sir. I didn't say it. In my head, I'm thinking like, oh, geez, don't. Okay. All right. But then I was like, man, what if he really is like that? That's our freak. I started thinking like, oh man. But then I said, you know what? Nope. I'm going to go out there. I'm just going to do my thing. When I finished, they hit me back. I think like not even a few hours later, just like, yeah, you got it. Like, cool. But it's like, I never want to walk into anything arrogant or cocky. Like I've had that point in my life where I was an arrogant SOB and I never want to be that guy ever again, because I know that you can fall very, very hard, very, very quickly. So just be humble. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be confident and humble.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to do that. And I think a lot of people, they just kind of, I don't know, just arrogance really isn't it's not an attractive trait. I'll put it that way.
The most powerful tool we have is understanding that we're all the same. Because it's powerful, because then it washes away that fear of oh, he's a director of 30 years, or this person has been doing comedy since 1993 and I'm on the same show as him. What am I supposed to do? All of that is fear-based, and it's being used incorrectly. Bottom line is focus more on your why than on the how. Because when you focus on the why, and this is not my words, but my life coach and good friend David Thompson, he shared this with me, and it was just, it made it so much sense. He's like, never focus on the how, focus on the why, because the how figures itself out. But when your why is on fire, you'll find a way. You'll figure a way to get to Montana. You'll figure out a way to nail the audition. You'll figure out a way to be ready when your name is called. And it's all very true, because you're doing it. I humbly speak, I'm doing it. And it's like you found John, right? Like, I bet you found it because your why was strong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how you guys connected, but you connected somehow. But it was because you decided that you're going to put yourself out there. And John is to me is like a perfect example of that. And the biggest part about John that I love, John Ruby, that we discussed earlier, for people who are paying attention, it's his smile, man. He's always positive.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And that dude goes through his tests, you know what I mean? And he's taking care of a family. He has a wife and kids, so it's like, and to me that's admirable, because it's like, and I don't compare myself to him. I don't compare myself to anyone except myself, and that's something I had to learn. But it's just, to me, it's inspiring, because he stays present at all times. He's always present. It doesn't matter if he's involved in 20 projects. He stays present. When he's in our class, like, he'll comment in a certain manner that I learned from. I'm like, man, he's in the room. Like, he's in this room, right? Yeah. Like, mentally, he's here. He's not worried about 5 seconds from now. He's about right now. So, it's all about the why, man. The why, and staying humble, like you said, on pHumblepodcast. But
it's perfect.
But man, it's great, dude. Listen, I kept you way longer than I promised, and I hope you were okay with that, because I love this conversation.
No, man, I'm perfectly fine with this. This is a great conversation. I'm just like, dude, we can keep going.
Listen, I know you keep going. I want to have you on, though, again, and I want to have you on in person. Either I come back home to Maryland, or you come out this way, whichever comes first, and we keep each other posted, and we do a in-person podcast as well, because I want to still hear about your roots and Lion King, which you previewed me to. I want to learn about, like, your origin story, speaking of comics. But I want to know, like, when did Joshua decide this is what my calling is, and so I want the audience to stay tuned for that. Joshua, sure. I'd love to have you back if you would honor me.
Yes, and I'm gonna word, my brother. Absolutely, I'd love to be back.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Josh. If by the way, plug away any socials that you want the people to follow you on.
Oh, guys, you can find me on Twitter at the Outlawed Mime. On Instagram, the Midnight Cinema 41. You can find me on my YouTube channel, The Midnight Cinema. You can find me on Facebook, Joshua Diggins. We have a also co-host on another YouTube channel called Multiverse of Geekdom, where I do some of the shorts. We have this weekly Geekdom segment. I just talk about some film news that's going on. I would do those shorts on my channel as well. We also have a Facebook group called Multiverse of Geekdom and Benverse. So feel free to join any of those groups. We are a friendly group of people. We love talking movies. Anything geeky. I mean, video games, books, you name it, trivia. We do so much. We got so much coming your way. We even have this great game that two of the guys came up with called Titans of the Turf, where they literally took D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and blended it with fantasy football, but put a heavy emphasis on the fantasy. So what we do is you have a D&D style type of setup and rule log, the dice and everything, but your actual football teams that you're selecting to play for you, you can draft any character, any medium that there is. Clint Eastwood from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is on my team. That's a backup. I have the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. Like, it's not a game. He's running for MVP this season, so it is a fun time.
That sounds fun.
It's great, man.
That's cool. All those channels Joshua mentioned were on the screen. Follow this man. Superb talent. I'm lucky to know him now as a result of, again, connecting through John. And yeah, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, and one of many to come.
Absolutely,
and we'll be in touch through social media. You can follow me, Pej the Maniac. Mine is all the same name, and I got my weekly mic here in Sacramento, and by the time this episode comes out, game 1 of the Kings Warriors has already happened, and hopefully I'll be smiling after that game. But because Warriors, that's enough. You've had enough of the shine. Give it to the capital team, man. We're the capital of this state, for crying out loud. Yeah.
Kings.
Yes, right. Sacramento Kings. But yeah, I have my Saturday comedy music night happening every Saturday. You guys know about that. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I post about my upcoming dates and where I'll be. Would love to see you guys in person. And obviously subscribe to Fumble Podcast. Some people call it pHumblepodcast. And it's the same name, same spelling. And love you guys. This has been episode 102. And I will catch you guys on the next one.